every Maine business adds value to our state. Diversity adds strength and beauty to our communities. We each have different journeys with a common goal: to prosper and contribute to a vibrant, thriving future in Maine, all to help strengthen the economy. Greenlight Maine and Bangor Savings Bank present Elevating Voices, a celebration of Maine's diverse business community.
Hello.
Hey, Lori.
Hey, welcome.
Thank you so much for letting our crew use this as our home base. Your hospitality has been just overwhelming.
Well, we are so pleased to be able to do this. This is such a wonderful project, and we're so excited to be a part of it. We thank you. So right now we are in the L.L. Bean house, and L.L. Bean has been very gracious, a wonderful partner, and has helped us furnish this entire house. So we always have had a good relationship with L.L. Bean, and I like to think of us as the Hair-Seek-It Inn is the other iconic family-owned business in Freeport.
Well, this is a dream cottage, and I can't get over how many places there are to sit.
Yeah. Well, you know, the whole idea is to be comfortable while you're here, and that's what we're all about. So thank you. Where are you folks off to today?
So we're heading over to Bucksport to spend time with a former mill worker, and then to Booth Bay to learn about cooking with Mumbai to Maine.
That sounds yummy. Well, I hope you folks have a wonderful day.
It's the spirit of New Englanders that inspires all of us to do more. It's in our employees, our customers, and our communities. Every day we do more because at Bangor Savings Bank, we truly believe you matter more.
Whether you're cutting edge or looking at a traditional industry in a whole new way, if you want to innovate and if you want to grow, if you're an organization here in Maine, we want to support you. We're the Maine Technology Institute.
At Hannaford, you're not just shopping at a supermarket. You're buying local. Because we're buying local every week. Whether it's fresh produce from a family farm or products from local businesses. Hannaford Supermarkets. Greater than groceries.
The Bucksport Mill thrived for the better part of a century, but in 2014 the smokestack went silent, leaving the community a big empty space. There was no choice but to find a way to move on. That's exactly what Deco Kutz is doing.
Deko, when you came to Bucksport, you worked at the mill?
Yes.
And what did you do there?
So I was a paper maker, but I was they call it fourth hand. So in that job, you kind of do all the bottom jobs. So I've learned fourth hand, third hand, broke operator. I worked on the off machine coder, so quite a few jobs in there. You know, pretty much anywhere they needed me.
Yeah, 75% of the town worked there. So what happened when it shut down?
Well, for me, it was a big loss. I was trying to figure out what I was going to do next, and I knew I wanted to be a barber before the mill closed. So I knew they had a retraining, for all the people who worked there. So I said to myself, I'm gonna try and follow that path now, something I've done forever. So it just kind of made sense to me. I was just trying to figure it out, like most of them, A lot of these guys spent a lot of years working in that mill, and, probably they all thought they were probably retired there, so it's nothing you can really say. It's just kind of, it's the main way to be resilient and just kind of figure it out. And I think that's what most of us done, just onward, upward kind of deal, But it hurt, but we figured it out.
Tell us about the retraining program.
The retraining program was located in Orlean. So with that, it was a way to get us all back into new jobs. So when I went there, they asked me what did I want to do, and I told them I wanted to be a barber. Yeah, so that set me up.
Deco got creative to build his business and get the word out he wanted to be a business known for giving back. The community embraced him from the very beginning.
Wow, we were really pushing the bar,
Yeah, so like 4 years you've been in business?
I've been licensed for 5, so I mean, right out of school, I got my first job. So it's I've been in the community center about 4.5 years.
The Orlean Community Center used to be the Orlean Community School. It housed grades K through 8. It's a precious building to the surrounding area, and a lot of people cherish their memories of going to school there. They appreciate the use of this building, where they shop at a variety of small businesses that have taken up residence and keep the space busy and engaging.
Hi, Deko.
Hey guys,
Deco.
how you doing?
How are you?
Very good.
So good to see you.
Same here. What is going on?
Well, it's always good to be in here. It feels like home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Your place is absolutely gorgeous. I love the way you decorated it.
Oh, thank you guys so much. This is all of me put into this place, you know.
So I love your shop because I like the way you personalized everything, and it seems like you built a lot of that yourself, right?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Well, before I moved to Maine, I don't think I could build anything, but I'm artsy, you know? But one thing about working in a paper mill, you know a lot of people. And you have family members. My wife's stepfather, he does drywall, so I had a reference there. You know, I've done all the flooring in my house just through the old do-it-yourself things at the Lowe's, you know? People in Maine figure things out, you know. I wanted to bring a little of the city element into it without bringing the city to Maine, you know. We want the cool haircuts, we want the cool design, we want that vibe, but we don't want that vibe, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that was a cool opportunity to just do my version of what a barbershop should look and feel like. And it goes back to, you know, my parents. You come to their home, no matter who you are, you're welcome. So that's what we have for a barbershop. When you come in there with me or Ashley, 9 times out of 10, you feel like you've been coming here for a while, you know, and that's the vibe we're going for. We try to make people instantly a part of what we're doing.
The design certainly helps, but the vibe even more because we feel it, my kids feel it every time they come to your shop as well. But I know beyond that, you do have this really special connection with your community through your giving.
Yeah.
So tell me more about that. You do have a foundation you started, Tips for a Cause.
All these pay it forwards were becoming popular, and like somebody will buy you a coffee or buy you this and that. And I just want to do it differently, you know. I want to put my little spin on it. So I had started this tip jar, and I would put it out there, and at the end of the day, how many haircuts I would put $1 in for every haircut. And it just became that thing for me. And then one day I had this customer like, what's that about? And I told her, every day I get a haircut, I put $1 in. You know, when it gets to $20, it gave a haircut for a kid who couldn't afford a haircut. And she goes, Deco, you can't do that alone. And that's where the tip jar, I put it right on my station. If people want to put $1 in there or whatever they want to throw in there, perfect, you know, because if you weren't gonna help out, just coming to the shop was gonna help somebody out, you know. And, you know, having 2 boys, you wanna teach them it's better to give than receive, you know. So that was the whole thought. I'm like, man, I spoil my kids, you know, and they need to know it's better to give than always looking to receive something. So then it became a goal of, wow, it doesn't matter what the magic number is at the end of the year, I'm gonna go in my pocket and make it 50 haircuts every year. And we did that up until COVID. I think COVID hit in March 15 for us. I closed my doors. So this year, I was like, well, this is the last year. Whatever money's left over, we'll write those vouchers. And that's why I hooked up with Amy, and she's amazing. So she's gonna make sure those vouchers make it out into the community. And, you know, we'll kind of see what that do.
Well, I had reached out to Deco because I'd heard he was putting vouchers out into the community for people to come in and get free haircuts. And I knew they were going through the school system, and kids were taking them, but they weren't necessarily coming in. They weren't using them. So we ended up talking about having them get into the local food pantry. So when people come once a week to get their food, they could pick up a voucher for a haircut.
Hey, how you doing, Amy? We got the vouchers all ready for you.
Oh, perfect.
Hey, Dan, you want to grab those vouchers?
Here you go. Thank you so much. No problem. Have a great day, guys.
You too.
Good to see you.
Bye, Amy.
Have a good one.
So you went from pretty much losing your job to being a job creator right here in Maine. And you have a wonderful partner, Ashley. Tell me a little bit about that.
So Ashley's great. So how I met Ashley, I was cutting her brother, her dad, his kids. Perfect. And her dad told me several times, you know, my daughter wants to be a barber. And I said, that's cool. Have her come talk to me. I didn't know she was a little nervous to come talk to me. I'm like the easiest person to talk to in the world, I feel like. But she finally got around to it. It was an amazing fit because she's so easy to work with. She's a fast learner. And she also worked on my flaws in barbering, right? Like she brings an element that I can't do, that I feel less comfortable with. And we just kind of feed off of each other that way. So she's been a great addition to the team.
So that last day of work at the mill, what was that day like? What was that moment like for you?
It was tough. It was a tough moment, you know, and I didn't have it all figured out. But the retraining part of the process kind of told me things were going to be all right, but, you know, it's hard to leave that kind of money and know that things are going to be all right with life, you know.
But you chose to stay. You didn't pack up and leave because it seems like back sport is really close to your heart. And this is where you really wanted to build community, right?
Yeah, I did choose to stay, you know. It's a cool town, you know. I talked about it being resilient and, you know, you figure it out, you know. You find that thing. And I found that thing, like I said, I've always done it, but I never ever thought of it as a career. It was just that thing I've always done. And I didn't know what was gonna happen, but I was gonna give it my all, you know. And that was my real push, but I was nervous like every one of those guys walking out that door that day, you know. But who knew it would turn into this blessing for me.
What does Deco do for fun?
If I'm not playing basketball or riding a motorcycle or cutting hair, I'm not doing what I want to do in life. So like what comes with that is a lot of time with my boys, you know. My wife gets the motorcycle time, but the boys get all the basketball, and as soon as I could get them on a little hoop, they were shooting the basketball. So that's just our thing, you know. And I'm gonna do those things until I can't do them no more, you know. So.
What's the hope for the future?
Just get the industry to where I would like it for my area, right? Like this is my community. There's been people rocking out with us from the beginning. And you know, I like to say we pick up all the fancy haircuts around the area. Social media's happened and people are looking for these real cool haircuts, and we just want to be the place that could provide that, you know? Yeah, that's my goal.
Eaton Peabody, a Maine-based law firm serving generations of Maine businesses and families from offices in Augusta, Bangor, Brunswick, Ellsworth, and Portland.
Running a small business here in Maine is personal. At Kennebec Savings Bank, you'll work with local people who are just as invested in your success as you are. Every one of us. Experience the difference at Kennebec Savings Bank today.
ARB's advisors are providing savvy solutions to Greenlight Maine startups, closely held businesses, and organizations that operate internationally. And we're doing it the way you'd want Mainers to, guided by our local, sensible values.
The coastal town of Boothbay is home to Cherie Scott. When she moved here, she started a podcast to take people on a culinary journey of the rich Maine food scene. She's always busy in her kitchen working on bringing the flavors of India to New England. With her brand of specialty sauces, she calls Mumbai to Maine. Today, she's offered to teach us a lesson in flavor and tell us about her inspiration.
All right, Julene, are you ready for your first Indian cooking class? Right here in the Mumbai to Maine kitchen. This is where everything was born for me.
I am ready. This is my first cooking class ever.
So the dish I want to make for you today and for your viewers is a very special dish. It's called kaldeen, and it is Portuguese influence, and it's a simmer, coconut curry simmer. But the reason why I love this dish so much is because I used to stand at my mom's heels when she was making this for us every Sunday, and it was this very long and elaborate process. And by the end of it, the entire building smelled so amazing. Like everybody wanted this dish.
Wow.
And so it kind of stuck with me in my archives. Well, years later, my mom passed away, and then I was really craving the dish, and I wanted to connect to her. And so I reached out to my aunt, and she sent me the recipe, the family recipe. So that's when I had this idea of maybe I should find a way to put this in a jar so that I can reach for it anytime I want, and I don't have to make the prep happen every single time I do it. So I thought if I want it, I'm sure there's other people out there who do.
Absolutely. Now you're sharing it with everybody.
And here I am today. It's part of my jars for my simmer sauce line, and it's truly the heart of my brand. It's an homage to my amazing, talented mother. And it really is what has spurred into such a beautiful line of simmer sauces, all thanks to her. So let's jump in and let's do it. Are you ready?
Started, yes.
Okay, so the first step is you want to kind of get this cast iron pan or skillet on medium to high. And so this dish is comprised of really 3 whole spices. So it's the black peppercorns, which add the heat, the coriander that adds the citrus, and the cumin that adds that earthy, wonderful complement to balance all of them out. The whole point is to just get them nice and sort of toasted up, not brown or burnt. You'll see the entire kitchen is gonna smell amazing. I remember this smell coming out of my mom's shoebox of a kitchen back in Mumbai. This is the smell of my mother. And this is why I do this, because every time I do this, I feel she's like right here next to me. My mom would always tell us that she had to get the fish lady, the fishmonger who would show up at our door. Her name was Kamli. She'd come with this big basket, and she'd always tell Kamli, I'm making kaldeen today, so please add some extra shrimp because it's for Cherie. She'll eat all the shrimp and then eat everybody else's shrimp. So my mom always said, you better marry a fisherman one day because, you know, you are gonna need to eat a lot of the seafood, and you better marry a fisherman. So I said, you know, Mom, I did something even better. I moved to Maine.
There you go.
Absolutely. And so now what I do is, once I feel like these spices are really, I want you to really take a good smell of that. It's so wonderful.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Heaven.
Wow, that's amazing.
Okay.
So I'm actually going to reach for my blend, which I kind of prepped ahead of time. So we save some spice, you know, and some time.
This is the end product of
This is it.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is basically grinding down all of this good stuff. And I'm going to set this aside because I'll make another batch with that, right?
Okay.
Now you've got the spices.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to turn it on. Now this dish starts out with some coconut oil, believe it or not.
Okay.
And coconut oil at room temp, as you can see, is hard. But as soon as you put it into a hot pan, it gets super silky smooth, transparent, and it adds just a wonderful flavor to your cooking. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some onions to this. So I'm actually going to get some onions out here. I think that's plenty for this dish because you don't want it to overpower. The scallops that we're going to cook today, let's get those ready to go. Okay, so I'm going to turn on the stove here.
Okay.
And we're going to use some ghee. We're basically going to pan sear these amazing scallops in the skillet. So we're going to go for this. I think I can smell a nice hot pan. Ooh, smell that?
Oh yeah.
And I'm
gotta
literally,
get the pan nice and hot.
yeah, I'm not going to put any flour or anything on this because I want them to just cook and sear, turn it off, and then let that beautiful simmer sauce kind of get into it, you know? So we're just gonna leave them, we're not even gonna touch them. Every single layer adds flavor.
Wow.
And so if you're gonna be in a rush, don't make the dish. Just pull it out of a jar because I did all the work for you. So go buy one of my jars. That's what I tell people.
Speaking of your jars, so you're in 8 locations?
Monty's and Brown's in Portland, Eventide and Pinkham in Booth Bay Harbor. And then I kind of just hit up Rockland, which was fun. There's a great store called Bleecker and Greer. I have Treats in Wiscasset. And then of course I have Main Street Markets in Rockland, right on the main drag. I love that store. And but the last one I just picked up the other day was Riverside Butcher in Damascotta.
Oh, congratulations.
Beautiful year-round town, thank you. And that's the beauty about this state. It is such an embracing ethos for up-and-coming culinary tastemakers. You know, people who want to make a beautiful beverage or cheese or, you know, it's just a wonderful place. And I want to check on these to make sure I'm not overdoing these. See, that's all I wanted. You see that?
Perfect.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yes.
The next thing we're going to do in here is I'm going to reach for the garlic and the ginger.
Okay.
And it's very important in Indian cooking that you have your garlic and ginger because they add a wonderful, beautiful flavor and earthiness. So we're not going to cook this for too long.
Okay.
And the next step is to add the beautiful spice blend that we made.
Okay.
But wait till you smell this. Go in here. It's going to smell amazing. Okay. Turmeric is the signature in this dish. This is when my son, like, literally drops whatever he's doing. I say, turmeric, he goes, I want to do the yellow. So he comes in and he basically sprinkles the turmeric in there for me. That's his job when we make kaldeen, and he'll always remember that. I know he will. I'm gonna go get you some coconut milk. I actually put it all together for us. You wanna come with me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So what I did was I just emptied out some coconut cans of milk in here and some cream. And I kind of mixed it up because there's a lot of water in coconut cream, right? So you want to make sure that you mix that all up. But that's good for the sauce. It's really, really good. Okay. So this is when, see that coming out of there? Isn't that beautiful?
Beautiful.
It is so rich. Look at that gorgeous color coming out of that. So this is now the kaldeen. So I have used coconut vinegar to make it. And this beautiful vinegar kind of brings this dish together with some Himalayan pink salt, which adds a beautiful, wonderful, sort of a citrusy, bright flavor. And believe it or not, good old sugar.
Oh.
So this is why this dish becomes addictive. And why is that? Because it's got sweet, it's got salt, it's got acid from the vinegar and the toddy, and it's got the beautiful spices.
Okay.
So I thought, okay, I am going to make this and put this in my jars so that everybody else can know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
And be transported to the beaches of Goa.
Oh, amazing. You're amazing.
All right, that's my mom right there. So what I'm gonna do, Julene, is the best part now, is I'm gonna add these beautiful lobster tails in this simmer sauce, and I'm gonna put them this way in so that they can now simmer on low and get really happy in there. And to me, this is the essence of my story, which is basically Mumbai to Maine.
At Martin's Point, we make Medicare easy, so you can focus on the good stuff. Our Generations Advantage plans offer complete coverage and all-in-one benefits that Mainers trust. The time to switch is now. Call or visit us online today.
Located off I-95 in Oakland, First Park is Central Maine's most connected business park. Fiber internet, 3-phase power, and pre-permitted sites make it easy for entrepreneurs, innovators, and businesses to start or expand their business. Details at firstpark.com.
Sutherland Weston, helping businesses start, grow, and expand in Maine. And empowering business owners to be persuasive and prepared. Smart, responsive, creative. SutherlandWeston.com.
This fresh lobster feast was gifted to Cherie by Brown Trading Company in Portland's Old Port so she could work her magic for us. Brown Trading was also one of the first businesses to sell Cherie's simmer sauces. A short walk from Brown is Scordo, owned by the Coronas family. Scordo is a spice and accessory shop that would ignite just about anyone to try their hand at cooking. Cherie and John shared an instant connection through spices that led to a loyal friendship. The two consider each other their role model as they influence and inspire the other's business.
How did you two meet?
We have the shop in the Old Port in Portland, and Guy, Cherie's husband, was in town, and I remember him saying he was just killing some time waiting, you know, to pick up a child or something like that. Yeah, and so he popped in the shop, and we were fairly new at that point, not that well known down there, and lo and behold, I guess he saw some things that he thought his lovely wife Cherie would like, and so purchased them and brought them home, and next thing you know, we got an email from Cherie introducing herself and saying great things about our product, which endeared her to us immediately. So, and frankly, it just kind of took off, from there. It's just been a wonderful experience, for going on 3 years now, right?
Yeah, pretty much. And honestly, I think that phone call that I made to you that morning, I was driving to work and I said, I just have to call the person that's behind this company called Scordo, because how does he know how to make a garam masala that's so spot on? Because there's an art to it. I showed you how to toast the spices today, Jolene. Like, there's a recipe to it, and you've got to have the right feel, and John nailed it in that jar, and that's when I knew that he'd be my friend, because I was like, spices brought us together, and that's how community builds, right? It builds through food and food connections, and so that brought me right into John's life, and Scordo became part of my family, and they're in my house, in my kitchen, in my life, on my plates. And in our food today, we cooked with all of John's spices, so we have the turmeric and the peppercorn and all the great spices in here. But I think John and I basically hit it off because we both had this commonality, this passion for food with his Greek heritage and my Indian heritage. The feeling of being a newcomer in Maine, it's fleeting. Because as soon as you get here, you'll have a neighbor that literally walks up the driveway with a bag full of goodies and says, welcome to Maine. I know you've probably not slept in the last few days. You don't even know where the grocery store is yet. Here you go. But I will tell you this, when I found John's spices, and the reason I'm bringing this back to that moment, was I was longing to feel like home in Maine. And I didn't know how to cook Indian food, I told you that, until I was 32. So when I started on this journey of trying to figure out how to cook this food for myself, when I opened up John's Spices and I knew that there was someone else in Maine who was doing what I was doing, it was so much more than just a jar of spices to me. It was a connection to somebody I hadn't even met yet. When you find a friend through food, it's sort of like they're your friend for life.
So did you know that you wanted to open a business before you ran into John with his spices?
No, absolutely not. Yeah, no. I think John and I just had this organic connection of food, and it was universal. We just loved food, loved spices, and he had such an incredible brand that he was putting out into the world in Maine. And I just wanted to be behind that. So we've always found a way to collaborate together, and that's the beauty of food, right? In Maine, we all find our own way of leaving our mark behind and moving it forward. So that's why Maine is such a maker state. I just love this state. I'd like to say, just to entrepreneurs in this state and anyone who's listening, that there's never a perfect time to get started. Now's the perfect time. You have to start somewhere, and if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will. And I want to thank Greenlight Maine for giving me this opportunity to share my story, my maker story, and I hope it inspires someone out there who has a dream to take action on it, like today, and build something that's really impactful.